Well, hello there, my fine fellow student peoples of the digital media class. My name is Brent, and this is challenge number 5. Today's theme is favorite food. Today's topic that we're going to be diving into primarily focuses on layer masks, their functions, what are they, and everything else you wanted to know but were too afraid to ask. So, let's just get right into it, shall we? Okay, well, with today's theme being food, or favorite food, one of my favorite foods of all time has to be ribs. Love ribs. So let's start. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up our grill. Let's get some fires going. There we go. See, look at that. Isn't that a pretty sight? So today what we're going to cover, we're going to use some techniques that we've used throughout the course. And we are going to cover the topic of layer masking. Layer masks, sorry. So first, let's start off with selecting the background. Okay, so we're going to take the background, we're going to drag it down here, make a copy, just like what we have before in the past. Okay, now with background copy layer selected, I'm going to go into channels. Okay, if you don't have channels, you can go up into your window menu up here and find it there. You can also do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control, and as you can see there's a little square on my cursor on the image by the RGB words. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control, I'm going to hit, and I'm going to click, left click on the image next to the RGB in the channels. And as you can see, I got a whole bunch of selection going on here. Alright, now I'm going to go back into layers. So now I got big selection going on this layer of my background copy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add an adjustment layer. I'm going to fill it with a solid color. So for this, I choose green. Let's do a green color, shall we? That's good. Alright. Now I'm going to show you what it's, so I'm going to now go to the background copy again, and this time without doing the whole selection thing, the channel thing, all I'm going to do is come back down to here, create another fill adjustment layer of a solid color. Whoa. So let's change this. Let's not to that. How about, yeah, blue works. That looks good. What do you think? Whoa. Yeah, I think blue's probably going to be your best bet too. I like it. Wonderful. Okay. Now as you can see, that's just a regular adjustment layer. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tackle some food. So got some ribs. Ribs coming your way. So here we go. Ding. I'm going to show you a few things with layer masks. Now, as we see, we have this amazing, delicious looking ribs right here. Now, what are layer masks? Think of layer masks like a window, but you control what you see through the window. Okay, so, and it's all based off your foreground and background colors as well. Now let me explain. So here we have this amazingly delicious looking ribs. Now notice what we have here with a white foreground color and a black background color. If I were to go to a brush, okay, and oh, first of all, I need to make sure that this image gets a layer mask added to it, because if I were to alter this image without a layer mask or adjustment layer or anything like that, it would completely alter the image, and if I ever wanted to come back and make changes, I would be unable to do so. So it's always important to do that. But now I'm clicking away with my brush and nothing's happening. Okay, it's, you know, it's the white foreground color. It's, you know, increase it a little bit more. Okay, so Obviously, something's up. So using the X key, you can use X to switch your foreground and background colors, just like so. If I now change it so black is my foreground color, look at that. See? It lets all the image come through. Okay? But now, Control Z and Control Alt Z to step back like that. But now let's say you did a little bit lighter tone, like a gray tone. Well, you wouldn't get all of the image through it. So let me show you. So this is what it looks like with a gray tone, okay? With a little gray tone. Now if I switch it back to having a black, you can see the difference. Gray, black, and then if I even did something lighter, a lighter shade, but not yet white, see how that works? So you have all different varying degrees of opacity. So what you can see through. So that's essentially what the layer mask does. And it allows you to do that without altering the image. So like for instance, if I were to have done this without doing an image or doing a layer mask, it would have altered this image, and if I wanted to make any changes afterwards, I would have been unable to do so. So let me go ahead and step back. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me switch this back to black. Okay. So now one of the things that you can also do, let me go ahead and now we're not gonna, I just was loading this so I could show you the concept of what the layer mask is. I'm gonna reload this for you so make it cleaner for you so you can go from there. So I've loaded my layer and I don't have a layer mask, okay? So what I want to do is I want to come up here to the marquee tool, marquee select tool, okay? And what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a selection. So let me select that. Okay, so now we got a little selection going here and everything. So now what I'm going to do with this selected, I'm going to come down here to create the layer mask. And if I create the layer mask, ding, you can see it up here. See how it's almost like a window where it took the whole rest of the image and completely masked it, but only let me see what was inside our selection. Alright, so, but what if this is not what we wanted? What if this isn't what we wanted? Now, one of the things that you'll notice is by these links, or by these images, there are also these little link symbols. Now, a couple of things. If we select our move tool, see how this cursor is a black arrow cursor? Well, if I have this selected, it will physically move the image as well as the mask itself, as you can see here. So you can see it move and move and move. You can see it up here in the navigator as well. But one thing to take into perspective is, let's say you didn't want that. Let's say you wanted a different part of that image, right? You wanted the image to be there, but just a different part of it. Okay, so first let's go ahead and unlink these layers. And I'm going to select the actual image itself. Notice the adjustment points showed up. I'm still using the move tool, so I still got the the black mouse pointer. But now if I click and move it, you can see how I'm sort of moving what's behind the window. See how that works? Now let's go ahead and shrink this a little bit so we can do that. So let me go ahead and hold shift. There we go. And we'll shrink this down a little bit and make it tasty. There you go. Just like so. So now, as you can see, we have now. If I tried to move it, this image would move. The mask itself would stay the same. If I wanted to move the mask, I would click that, and as you can see, the transforms are there as well. If I wanted to move everything all at once, I would make sure you have to link them so that way you can move them. Okay? So, let's go ahead. We got to do 2 more images, so I got a couple more amazing pictures of ribs. Oops. Let me make sure that I don't have that selected. I mean, that's just absolutely gorgeous, right? I personally think so. I'm going to go ahead and hold shift and make this a little bit bigger. Perfect. Now, as you can see, we have no mask, not like here. And this image is obviously a lot larger than the mask selection size. But we'll get to that here in a second. If we go to the mask itself, and I hold control, remember it's hold control to get the little square, and click on it, see how it gave me the selection right here? Ding-ding-ding. Now, I have the black arrow cursor, as you can see. I don't want that. I want to come up here back to the marquee tool. Now notice how the adjustment points are gone, but the dotted line of the selection still remains. And my cursor now has a white box just like it did when I clicked on here. Now I can actually move the selection to where I want to have it. So let's say I'll put it right here. Okay, so now we've moved the selection to there. I'm going to come up here to select this layer. As you can see, you have it all highlighted. I'm going to come down here, select Add Layer Mask. Ding! Now, using the same properties that we had from up here, what I'm going to do is unlink the mask in the layer, and then what I'm going to do is, using the move tool, move them and holding shift and resizing. Oh, I mean, really, that just looks so good. Just like so. So let me go ahead and bring in our third picture for this lesson. Okay. This is a really good example here. So, we have our 2 masks, our main picture here. So let's go ahead and we will insert that. So then we'll come down here, and as you can see, you got the points. We're not really interested in that. We can click the mask. We're going to hold control. Remember, hold control. Get the little square. You want to see this little white square on your icon as well as your mouse icon when you're moving it with the marquee tool. So hold control, left click. Now we're going to take this. Oh, see, I tried to move it and it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because I have the wrong tool selected. No, don't apply. I need this tool. Now my cursor is normal. So I'll come back down to here. do that. Select here for the layer, and now create a layer mask. Unlink it, come to the move tool so we can move the, oops, see how I'm moving this? And this is because I'm moving the actual mask, because see how the mask is selected on this right hand side, so I'm actually moving this throughout the actual image. But we don't want to do that. So let me go ahead and select the image. And hold shift and we'll resize. Just like so. So now if I go back and relink these, there. Oh, that looks so good. Now, we've covered the various parts of the layer mask. Okay, we've shown how you can control what you want to see, where you want to see it, so on and so forth, and how much of the actual image you want to see behind that. So we're going to do one last little thing. Previously, we had dealt with using drop shadows and everything. So if I come to this layer and double click in this empty space, we get this layer style menu. And if you remember, we did the drop shadow, which should affect this image up here. If we click this, see there it starts. So let me go into this menu and create a little bit of a, let's change this. There we go. Actually, do there. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of that. I'm so indecisive. Huh. Okay, perfect. That's what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to stick to it. So obviously the distance is how much do you want it to come off the paper, or off away and separate from your image. We're going to do a little bit of that. Don't really want to make the spread, I mean, there's really no point in making it so big. And then the size just determines if we're doing it very spread out or very concentrated. So for this, we'll do a little softer tone like that, and we'll say okay. Remember, if you wanted to change the color of the shade itself, this is where you would do it, but we're not going to get into that. We'll just leave it where it is, and we'll click OK. So now this has a nice drop shadow, but these don't. But we need to make these other two the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and I'm going to click on the FX thing. And as you can see, my cursor's created a new instance of it and is dragging it. It's essentially copying the settings from the previous layer effects into this one. And if I let go, there we go with that. And if I hold Alt and drag again, click and drag, there we go. So there you go, folks. We have gone ahead and tackled the layer masks, how they're applied, how to have some fun with them, a little bit about what they actually are, how they can save your image from doing irreparable harm, and various techniques of how to apply them, from selections with channels to solid colors and more. So thank you everyone for, before we need to save this. So let's save this as We'll call this challenge. Oops, it would help if I did not hit that. First we'll save it as a JPEG. We'll call this challenge lesson 5. And then we will call this challenge lesson 5. There we go. And we are all done for this video. So thank you everyone for coming out. I hope you enjoyed layer masks and some of the concepts. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.